Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is our weekly webinar at vFairs. We want to welcome everyone. This is one of the first episodes that we're going to be hosting on a weekly basis. Today, I have the pleasure of presenting and introducing as well my colleague Stephanie as well from vFairs. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Hey, Carlos. I'm doing well. How are you today?
Very good, very good. A little bit hot as summer is almost here in Spain, but of course I know that you're already there, right? Months ago. Well,
So
perfect.
in Dubai, I'm pretty sure that the level of heat that we're getting here is far worse than than you guys. But yeah, I feel you.
Right, perfect. Everyone attending, please let us know in the chat where are you joining us from. We're really curious to see who are and where are our followers connecting from. And of course, we're gonna get started right away. So for today's episode, we're gonna talk a little bit more about our vFairs mobile app, all the capabilities, all the ways that you could host events with our technology. And we'll be more than happy to also answer any sort of questions that you may have on the chat. So please do not hesitate on leaving those messages there. We're pretty sure that we're gonna cover each and every single questions that you guys will have, all right? So we're no more longer waiting. I think that Stephanie, you can get started.
Yeah, sounds great. Perfect. Well, like Carlos mentioned in the introduction, we're seeing a very big trend now that we're officially, hopefully, fully past the pandemic at this point. We're seeing a very big trend in our clients going back to in-person events. And for in-person events, well, there's different technologies that could assist you guys through registration services, badge printing. We'll eventually get to these in our upcoming weekly webinars. But for today, we wanted to target the hot topic, which is the mobile app. So I'm very excited to walk you through these features. What I'm going to do is I will share with you recommendations, what we've been seeing that are very popular with our clients, our personal favorite features as well. And we're going to keep a close eye in the chat for any questions that you guys might have as well. Perfect. So without further ado, give me just a quick second and I will be sharing my screen to dive right into the mobile app. Carlos, can you please confirm that you can see my screen?
You're good to go. Perfect.
Perfect. Now, before I dive into the actual vFairs demonstration, it's worth mentioning, I want to let you guys know that our app could be the vFairs app, or we even support white label options. So I'm going to showcase both of these examples. And the reason I mention it is because we come across a lot of clients where branding is key for their event. So in that case, they might want to opt in for the white label service. Our app could be found on the App Store, the Google Play Store. And for the sake of our demonstration, I'm mainly going to focus on our vFairs mobile app for today. We started off the conversation talking about services leading up to your attendees utilizing the app, which we'll discuss in more detail. But for now, I'm going to assume the scenario that we've taken care of the registration process. The attendee has made their way to the venue and has collected their badge. And now they're going to open up the app to explore all of the functionalities, starting off with checking into the event itself. For this, I'm going to utilize our demo event. So I'm going to click here and get started. The first thing that pops up on my screen here, and it is a very popular feature with our clients, is what we call a splash ad. I've personally seen this being used in so many different ways. Carlos, if I've missed anything, let me know. Most likely it's used for sponsorship. Sometimes it could be used as an announcement for maybe an upcoming event that a client might have. If there's anything else that comes to your mind, dive right in. But again, very customized, and you can use this for absolutely anything you want.
Yeah, also for welcome videos is really useful as well. And of course, this could also be sequential, so we could easily have multiple banners there to be displayed as well.
Exactly. One additional thing to add there, if it is being used for any sponsorship, if anyone does click on the splash ad, we will be able to generate reports just to highlight the lead capture we got, total unique clicks for each of these ads. And similarly, once I exit the splash ad, what you're seeing over here within the screen of the app will be your logos. It's going to be your company branding. You're going to make use of the banner ads at the bottom as well, in case you want to promote further sponsorship. And everything else I'm going to walk you through today, the beauty of the app is that it's very customizable. So instead of walking you through how customizable this could be, I'm going to walk you through a couple of examples of how we've assisted our clients with their in-person apps. Here's one example with Harbor Foods, which was one of the recent events that we hosted. They've opted for a white labeled app, and their use case was a trade show. So just to let you guys know, I know we've got participants, all over the world, and I'm sure you guys are exploring different types of events. With the app, you can use this for anything. It could be a trade show, it could be a conference, it could be a sales kickoff, it could be a recruitment event. So if there's anything specific you have in mind that you'd like me to address different ways you can use the technology for, just ping me and my colleague Carlos as well. In this case, the app was used for a trade show. As you can see, fully branded once we're in the app. Here's another example. In this case, the client wanted to customize the full tiles as well. So as you can see, when we talk about customization, it could be all the way from the client's branding. It could be the color of the tiles. It could be, the wording, the icons. So very flexible options are available here. I'll end it off with one last example. This was used for an annual meeting. And I believe this event here, just Carlos, you were mentioning this earlier as well, they have opted for welcome videos as well. So once you enter the app, flash ad feature in their case was used for whether it's tutorial videos, a welcome note, or to promote your sponsors.
Yeah, and to answer, Roy, I know that you just mentioned on the chat, does an attendee have the option of attending virtual event through the app? Then yes, this is a great example. In fact, this was an in-person event happening at one day and the virtual portion happened the next day. The audience that were attending the virtual event were using the app. And in fact, if you click on the program agenda, you will find more than 13,000 different scheduled sessions and activities as well there. So it is fully possible, Roy.
Perfect. All right. Now let's dive back into the vFairs mobile app to discuss a bit more on the functionalities. I know that look and feel and branding is very important for you, but let's face it, we want the app to function well for the attendees and help serve the objectives that you have for your event. I'll lead it off with typically the main requests we get. Clients want to use the app in order to check in their attendees, so I'll address that. Second thing is, I'm going to take a conference use case. I know it's very popular, and a lot of other use cases have similar goals as well, whereby we want to showcase different speakers and have a different agenda of the different sessions that are going to take place. And then depending on the use case, there's also an exhibitor piece to it. That could be vendors, it could be sponsors. So I'm going to target these three as top priorities for today. And I know that we have different goals in terms of gamifying the app, making it a nice user experience for attendees. So we'll spend some time to talk about the different ways that we can keep your attendees engaged with this app as well. Let's start off with point number one. At the center, we can see a QR code functionality. This will automatically be generated with the attendee registration. And this functionality serves two purposes: scanning and showcasing your code. Scanning is what we're using to basically exchange contact details with another. So I bump into Carlos at the event, I scan his QR code, that's automatically as if we've exchanged business cards. Or Carlos might be the team admin and I'm the attendee walking into the event. He wants to verify that I've paid for this conference. I'm actually registered. He checks me into the event and verifies that I'm a registered user. So this QR code has so many functionalities, all the way from checking your attendees in, networking, lead retrieval, checking into sessions, and much, much more. We understand as well, we've got some clients asking us sometimes that attendee information, they might not want to share all of that details if they're networking with other attendees. Keep in mind, we've got the share my profile toggle here. As long as you enable this on or off, it will give you the flexibility that you need in terms of privacy with what you're sharing. I'll pause right here, Carlos, in case there was any questions that I might have missed. I'm not the best at multitasking regarding the QR functionality.
There was a question, not directly on the QR code functionality, but they were asking as well if what is the experience for attendees direct online on mobile, right? So Roy, it's the same. Even we can easily send you a link of our web platform so you could see how the mobile the mobile view looks like is the same as this. But of course, the main benefit of having the app is the QR code portion, right? For lead capturing, etc. It's good for in-person events. But like we mentioned before, that example that we showcased about 2 minutes ago, it was catered for virtual events as well.
Perfect. And my personal take, I feel like the app is very helpful, like Carlos mentioned, for in-person and hybrid. Roy, if your plan is fully virtual, we can have a separate discussion as well, because that's a feature altogether that you can give a complete different immersive experience for attendees altogether. Perfect. So with this, I've wrapped up the main point. We've checked people into the event using the QR code functionality. Now, as an attendee, the first thing I want to do is I want to learn more about who's presenting at your event. What's the schedule of events looking like, so that I know how I split my time accordingly. For that, I'll discuss two main tiles, two main functions that we have, which is your event agenda and your speaker hub. Like I mentioned, the terminologies here can change, colors, formatting, icons, very customizable. Let's start off by going into the speaker hub. Speaker hub is where you can showcase who's presenting at the event. I can click on any one of these speakers, learn more about their bio and what sessions they're going to be presenting in. And should you want, we can also enable the chat, so you can direct any questions you want to these presenters leading up to their sessions or post-session for Q&A. With this, I've learned about who's presenting. Now I want to see what the agenda is going to look like. For that, we jump into the agenda. It's worth mentioning here as well that some events you might be hosting for, like for example, we worked with a client recently for a sales kickoff meeting where they had so many attendees at the event, but each one's user journey was completely different. If you need this agenda to be personalized based on an attendee's role, that's also something that we can assist with. But keeping it high level, I'm just going to enter one of the tracks that I've got here in the agenda to walk you through what are the features you'll get within this area. First things first, I'll see that this event is on site. Again, if this was virtual, hybrid, we can add the details in here. I can see the session name, an overview, the list of speakers. We do support creating a personalized agenda or adding these into your calendar directly, so you're notified once the session will start. If needed, you can even book seats. I know sometimes you might have sessions going live in parallel. We want the attendees to be split more or less equally between these sessions. So if you want, you can set a cap as well on the seat count for these webinars. I can add these to my calendar as mentioned. And once I click on the session itself, I can see the details about the speakers. I can see any kind of handouts. So as a side note, you don't really need to distribute any brochures before the sessions as well. You can just have these uploaded within the app for easy retrieval. Now, one of attendees' favorite features is the following. When they're keeping track with the session that's happening live, they do have the ability to take notes as well. So once the event is over, they can simply export all of the notes that they took at the event on a session level. If they engaged with other attendees, if they networked with other users, they can capture all of that within their notes. Before I dive into questions, I also want to highlight that in case I know how important participation and engagement is within these sessions. So in case you needed to have polling, in case you wanted to have Q&A, or if you wanted to have surveys after these sessions are over, we support all of these options as well to keep your attendees as engaged as possible with these sessions. Perfect. With this, we've wrapped up fully the speaker side. Again, if you have any further questions that I probably missed in the overview, please let us know within the chat so we can further elaborate. Perfect. I'll dive right into the next functionality. When I walked into the event, we mentioned as an attendee, I wanted to first check what sessions are coming up so I can plan my day accordingly. My second priority is going to be networking with attendees and also networking with different vendors, sponsors. If it's a recruitment event, maybe different companies that are participating. So we know that the range of or the number of booths that you are going to have at your event is going to be very different. You might have 5, you might have 50, you might have 500. So to make it easier for your attendees to navigate in the event, I personally suggest enabling an event floor plan. This way I can see specifically where every company is located, their booth number, their booth details. I can bookmark whichever I'm interested in and navigate my way to that booth directly. All right, I'm going to go back into the attendees' footsteps. So I found booth A, let's say. I make my way to that stand. The first thing that's going to happen is that exchange of contact details. So let's say Carlos was the rep on that booth. First thing he's going to ask is for my contact details, which he can find on my badge or within this QR code. Any QR code exchange that is taking place will live within the app. So we've got a section here that says contacts. It's been very valuable to clients, to sponsors, to attendees. This is basically the form of lead retrieval where they are being able to capture everyone they networked with. Some might stand out more than others. Thus, we have our favorite star as well. So if I want to retrieve for the people that I had interesting conversations with, or they led to follow-up or next steps, I can easily retrieve them this way. I can export the list once the event was over. And then any person that I speak with, once again, I have the ability to add notes of that communication to recall what was discussed and what was agreed on. So I met Carlos on the booth. We exchanged contact details. Now, while I'm learning more about his business, there's different documents, there's different information that as a vendor you want to showcase to attendees. We facilitate that through the app by adding a hole for your sponsors, your exhibitors. This can be renamed however you want, like we mentioned. So easily, I can go into the sponsor hole and go to Carlos's booth right away. Or what we can even do is create a shortcut for you. So we can add a QR code on that booth in person. I scan that and it opens up the same resources. This is where I can learn more about the business. I can see their documents. I can see their videos. I can see if it's a trade show, what kind of products they have showcased. If it's a recruitment event, what kind of jobs do they have right now? And let's face it, even, we've been vendors at a lot of events. We've met with a lot of clients where they tell us the goals of these sponsors are going to be booking meetings with attendees. So we know that this is one of the top priorities. So we've facilitated this for you guys with the book a meeting feature that allows an attendee to select what rep they want to speak with, what time they want to speak with them. Not only that, but we've also added locations where they can have that 15, 30-minute conversation during your events. Did we get anything, Carlos, so far about the booth that I can jump in and clarify?
Not from the booths, but we do have some questions that will come for the next feature. So I will definitely pop those out once we get there.
Perfect. All right. So with this, we spoke about the booth. I want to let you know that we understand that for a lot of events that you're doing, it's not just about vendors and exhibitors that are participating. We know that for event organizers, sponsorship is also very important. We understand that this contributes to a source of revenue generation for the event. So I want to let you guys know that I could literally go on and on about this. So I will be respectful of our time. But in case that is something that you need help preparing, or that is something you want to use the app to promote, let us know. We're more than happy to assist you guys through that process. Just right now, from what we discussed, you can use splash ads, you can use banner ads, you can have a sponsor hub where you can showcase the different tiers of sponsorship that you have. And you can make use of our features like notifications, for example, to use it in their favor. Typically, notifications are used, for example, something has changed in the agenda, or there might be a delay somewhere, or you want to redirect your attendees towards a certain session or booth. So you can use this all in their favor also. Perfect. So we checked in, we learned more about the sessions, we explored the different companies. Now time for some networking as well. Obviously, I can easily bump into attendees at the event. That's the easiest way to network. We exchange contact details using that QR code. But another way is, if I know that Carlos should be attending this event, but I haven't come across him at that conference, I can easily go into the attendee search as well, look him up by name. I can use different filters. I can start a chat with him within the app where we support chat, audio, and video calls, or I can book meetings with him also. So this is in regards to the networking. Let me open up the chat as well, just so we can have a visual on what we just discussed. So I can share my business card, I can facilitate video calls, and I can facilitate audio calls. Perfect. I know I'm not going through each and every one of the features because I do want to keep it, as best practices and what we see most popular. But again, please let us know in the chat if there's anything that caught your eye you'd like us to further elaborate. And I see Carlos turned
Yeah.
went back on.
Yeah, so Peter, you asked a question about group meetings, right? So if you go to the chat section, we do allow people to create chat rooms. This is a possibility. And of course, you could also have these chat rooms preset, right? But of course, if you would like for them to pre-schedule this beforehand, you could do this by actually accessing the people's calendar as well. So you could actually set that up previously, or you could simply have that chat room connection there and invite them all together. The chat supports, like that Stephanie mentioned, text, audio, and video call. But of course, since the app is most likely used for in-person events, we expect to also the customer to add an option where we could actually add a meeting room that can be reserved, for example, right? If they want to have that face-to-face interaction between users. And also, I know that you mentioned something about notifications, Stephanie. I think Sandy is asking the question, how would those notifications show? Well, in this case, they will be displayed in this manner. Of course, that bell that it's at the top of the app is going to have a notification an announcement there. And you will be able to see all of these notifications. In this case, can be pre-scheduled too, and or they can be added ad hoc, right? Let's say you had a change of a conference room of a session. You could easily add that in the backend, and real-time notifications will be updated as well per user.
Yeah,
I think those are all the ones related to that.
Exactly. I'll just add one more thing on the note of notifications. As long as your attendees are logged into the app, even if I wasn't on the app itself, but as long as I'm logged in, I will still receive all of these push notifications so that we can alert them of any changes that might come up. Now, the great thing is if you guys checked our reviews online or you've worked with us in the past, and this might be a new product that we're expanding into, you'll know that vFairs takes a lot of pride and we prioritize a lot the support that we offer our clients. We're rated #1 as an event management platform. And one of the drivers for that rating is how much support we offer from our side. So throughout this entire process, you've got a project manager, you've got a customer success manager assisting you. And should you require any tech support on the live day, we've got this chat room right here for further support. All right, I'll wrap things up with the final component in my agenda for today. Unless other questions come up, happy to dive in further. But I personally see a lot of requests on how can we make this more fun for attendees? How can we give away different prizes? How can we gamify the event? So this is, I'll admit, my favorite part of the demonstration. So I'll start off with one of the most popular features, which is the leaderboard capability. With the leaderboard, it's pretty self-explanatory. So there's a point system there. You will allocate these points depending on what is important for your event. Is logging in important? Is watching a certain session more important? Visiting certain booths, downloading documents, networking? Based on what your priority is, we will allocate certain number of points or scores to that action. And then the more the attendees are ticking off these items and the more engaged they are, the more points they're going to be accumulating in parallel. If they've made it to the top of the list as first, second, and third, then you can give away different prizes, which you can even have as sponsored prizes. Second option we've got is a QR-based scavenger hunt. We all love a scavenger hunt. I know that even on our virtual offering, this was very popular. Now, what we've done to cater to the in-person is we actually hide objects in the venue itself. So it could be a sponsor's logo. It could be that you need to attend a specific session in order to find, a specific QR code over there. Once I click on the scavenger hunt, it's going to show me a list of tasks that I need to do. And then once I find that specific task or that hidden clue, I simply need to scan the QR code of that object and it ticks it off as completed. I can see how many points I've earned, and I can see where I rank with other players as well. So there's a bit of competition going on with the attendees. Next up on the list is social wall. This is very popular, especially if you are active with social media. So if you're using different hashtags to promote your event, what we can do in this case is anyone that tweets about the event, anyone that is using a certain hashtag at the event, we'll simply add all of these within our social wall on the app. Next up we've got is the photo booth. Photo booth will allow your attendees to take selfies, take boomerangs. It's a fully branded photo booth as well. So the frame is very customized. You can add GIFs, you can have stickers. This is what the end result would look like. Once I take that selfie, it's going to appear within the photo gallery. You can gamify this, by the way. That's a nice way of keeping them engaged and, you know, pushing for more participation with the photo booth. You can say something like, the one with the highest amount of likes can earn prizes, or the one that has the most creative picture can earn prizes at the end. And as I mentioned, these will be very customized, fully branded in terms of the frames, and I can go in there and like any of these posts as well. Of course, there are more capabilities, and like we mentioned earlier, looking at other apps, it really depends on what are your goals, what are your main objectives, and accordingly, we will be able to tweak this to make sure that only the relevant features that you will require will be added. But just to, I know I'm reiterating what we mentioned earlier, but in case you've got a different use case that we did not really go through today, let us know, because we've got a shopping cart experience, we've got the ability to showcase products, promote different opportunities in terms of job vacancies. We can have poster sessions and much, much more. I hope that this overview was informative to everyone. I will redirect it back to Carlos as well for any questions that I might have missed during the demo itself.
Perfect. Yeah, we do have a few questions, and I think we can let's tag team on this one, Steph. So I would like you to answer one, I will answer the next one, and so forth. So one of them is, what's the minimal amount of attendee info needed to track them? So I can answer that one. That was a question from Peter. So Peter, because it's a software, you know, all we need to do is for people to actually log in. So first they need to register in the event. Once that user has been entered in our system, once they log in, we start tracking absolutely everything when it comes to the activities, right? Where did they click, you know, where did they visit, what did they scan, right? So we do have a detailed report in the backend system where you could actually download all those behaviors and user journeys as well through the app and also through the virtual platform. I know, Peter, that you're really interested in the virtual portion as well. So it's the same, all right, for both scenarios. The second question, maybe for you, Stephanie, can the size of the navigation tiles on the homepage be changed? For example, one main tile at the top followed by secondary navigation tiles below.
Yes, the tiles are very customizable in terms of the look and feel.
Perfect. There is another one that says, how long after the conference will attendees have access to the app context? Look, I think I answered this on the chat, but I will make it the public answer. It by default is 3 months, right? But of course, it depends on the customer needs. Sometimes they would like to allow their own sponsors or exhibitors to retrieve leads, or also the duration of the conference or the networking portion of it may be for a month, right? So it will depend on the customer's choice. You know, we can easily add that access there as well for them. There is one for you, Steph. What kind of reporting can be found on the QR code scanning?
That's a great question, actually, because I would understand that as an event organizer, one of your main priorities to go back and check the analytics and see what was the ROI that you got. Similarly, if you're using reporting around sessions or on a booth level, you want to share what was the value added to your speakers or to your sponsors. The reporting is going to be on every single level of the event. So number one, it's how many people actually attended the event. We can track that through the check-ins. We can even report on that using the login feature, who was actually accessing the app. Second form is going to be on networking. How many QR codes were exchanged in terms of the contact infos? So that will show you an overview of what the engagement was like at your event. Then we shift on a booth level. Every single visit to a booth, whether it was on the app itself or in person, as long as they're scanning a code, you will know that Carlos visited company A at this specific time, and you'll be able to retrieve all of that information with the raw data. Similarly for sessions, If you do have a QR code or you are scanning attendees before every session, then you'll have an overview of which webinar was performing the best, which one was having the highest engagement, how many people and how many unique people were attending these sessions. And one more feature you can use in reporting is also for sponsorship. On a booth level or on the clicks that they got from these apps, you will be able to see where the highest performing ads were.
Perfect. There is another one called, can we edit the app on the fly? How easy is to update? Look, I think that regardless of what content needs to be updated in the same backend system, you could update content as you go. All people will need to do is basically to refresh the app, and the content will just be there, right? So we do have capabilities that even during the day of the event, if anything changes on your end, maybe some speakers drop, or maybe some exhibitors won't be able to be there, or you just need to update just a small portion of the agenda. All of that is possible as well through the same app. No worries. This one is for you, Steph. How would the app look for career fairs?
Sure. For career fairs, in terms of how it will look, will be pretty similar. Let's go back to the app here. Again, very customized. Obviously, the banners, the information you're sharing will be different. Now, to answer your question specifically, the main impact is going to be around the functionality that would serve for that specific use case. So let's go back to the sponsor hole, which as a start, if you're using the app for a career fair, chances are we'll call it more of maybe the companies that are participating or hiring companies. So I click on that, and I can still, similar to the step before, I can still go into that same app that the same booth that I'm interested in. But now we'll use functionalities that are more tailored to a job fair than we would for a conference or a trade show. So you've got this job style over here that will show me what kind of opportunities are available for this specific company. I can learn more about these and I can apply for the job right away, whereby the recruiter and the candidate will both get an email that the resume went through. Now, the great thing is, as opposed to the paperwork, I go in with my resume at hand and I need to give this to that company. Now, all of that could be replaced with the QR code, because part of that QR code is going to include the information of my resume. So once Carlos scans my badge or the app, he automatically has it as well as a copy to download later on. We don't need to go, by the way, from booth to booth. We do have a function here that says jobs, and it shows me all of the jobs that are going to be advertised at your event. In that case, I could filter through them by role, by title, and then go through the similar next steps that we talked about.
That's great. And I would like to add also here, obviously she showcased the jobs because it's what the question was meant for, but it could be products, like she showed also the Harvard example, Harvard Foods example. These can be services to, not necessarily needs to have an e-commerce portion there linked, but obviously we'd like to display all possibilities there as well. So that's also something that your exhibitors can easily update from their end.
Absolutely.
I think we don't have any more questions. I mean, if no one else has anything yet to discuss or to share, we will be more than happy to share the recording of this weekly webinar. I would like to thank Stephanie as well for that great and amazing presentation, of course. And yeah, please stay tuned. This is going to be on a weekly basis. So you're going to have it next Wednesday, same time. We will send you the recording of this webinar, and hopefully we could meet you at the next one. If by any reason you have any sort of questions that may pop up in the next few hours or days, feel free to reach out either to your account executive, your customer success manager, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. And that's about it. Over to you, Stephanie, to say bye-bye.
Until next time, I guess. Thank you all for listening. I really hope that this was informative, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. We'll be in touch.
Bye.